Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is my first video about the DJI Ronin-S, which I just received a few days ago. I will do an unboxing video as well. And whilst you watch this little bit of gratuitous cat footage, I will just let you know that this video is going to cover the positive aspects of the gimbal, but it's also going to let you know what the weakest bits are and help you to make a decision when purchasing. Okay, let's be fair to DJI and do a 30-second rundown first on why you should buy the Ronin 2. Okay, alright, this is a 3-axis gimbal that works to move your camera in all different directions through the use of a joystick, which is a wonderful feature and works really well. There is a record button and a manual focus wheel on here, although they only work with some cameras, bear that in mind. You can set the gimbal using an iPhone app or Android app, which work really well, and they can test and calibrate the gimbal for you and also keep different modes set up, and you have 3 mode selections on the back of the gimbal. The Ronin 2 has an incredibly comfortable handle and it's really ergonomic. It's not too heavy, although sometimes you need to hold it with 2 hands, frankly, if you want to hold it away from your body. It has this little 3-legged stand here, which helps when you're trying to calibrate the gimbal the first time and also when you're just setting it down in between shots. It also can be used as another handle to make it longer, although you can attach a monopod or tripod to the bottom, and there are 2 different sized screw connectors on the bottom. The gimbal will massively improve your footage, taking it from being shaky handheld to being what I would call cinematic handheld. You can still tell that this is handheld footage, although if you're really careful and you want to create the look that your camera is on a crane or a jib, you can probably do that too. It's going to make your footage look really professional, and it's going to do it in a way that is easy to use and not too expensive. I just wanted to show you here how I could hold the gimbal in my right hand and give Derek, one of my cats, a nice scratch with the other. Normally this would be absolutely unusable footage and really shaky. I'm not just trying to show you gratuitous cat footage to get more views, although, you know, it could help. But here I wanted to show you something that I'll touch on in a minute, and that is to do with the way that you can focus or not focus depending on which camera you have in this gimbal. So I'm not able to use the manual focus wheel, and the Sony camera, the A7 III, is not the best focuser. Well, let me compare it to my Canon 70D, which was really quick at focusing and really accurate. When you're using the gimbal, you have to be really focused on what it is you're trying to keep in the main focus, and you know, that just adds a little bit of extra work because you can't manually focus it here. So you'll see here, obviously it's going in and out of focus, which this was just a quick bit of test footage, but I just wanted to show you that that can be something to consider. But why should you not buy this gimbal? Well, let's go back to what I said a minute ago. You can record and focus from the gimbal itself. But DJI have made a massive error here in only getting compatibility with Panasonic and their GH5 camera and any other camera. From what I know, and I've got a Sony A7 III and a Canon 70D, we don't have full compatibility here. Sony seems to get the shortest straw, because whilst you can set it to record using the button on the back of the gimbal, you have a really crappy old-fashioned optical cable in order to do this, which comes out of the side of the crane on one side, or the front should I say, up here, and it has to loop round under or over your lens to find the little optical readout light on the side here. Now, first of all, there seems to be some confusion as to where the actual light is, whether it's the one that's on the front of the camera or the front of the handle. Either way, I can't seem to get it to work. And that wouldn't be the most annoying thing for me, frankly, because I don't mind just pressing record on the top of the camera and letting it run for 4 or 5 minutes whilst I get the shots that I need. You know, my setup is such that I've always got my laptop with me and hard drives, and I can always get footage off the camera. That's not a problem. But it's the manual focus. Now, I just bought this Sony camera. It wasn't cheap, and I didn't go cheap on the lens exactly. You know, I spent around £650 on Sigma Art lens, but it's not the best at focusing. Now, I don't know whether that's the camera or the lens. I've heard both, and I think it's a mixture of the two. You know, we don't have the double pixel autofocus that's on the Canon, and my 70D is better at focusing than the Sony is, but even my Sigma lens on my Canon is slower than the Canon lenses, so maybe it's a mix of the two. So I've got more gratuitous cat footage here, this time of Teddy, and I'm just using this to show you that it will go in and out of focus, which is really annoying because in normal conditions, without using the gimbal, I would be able to keep it in focus manually and wouldn't, you know, have the problems that I'm going to have here. As it stands, the footage looks really nice in terms of the smoothness and the movement that you get from the gimbal. It's just that focusing is really annoying. There are just some shots where you want to have manual focus, where you want to rake in and out of focus when you need to follow focus throughout a shot. It makes me think that DJI was not thinking about the professional or the really serious sort of amateur when they made this product. And although there are promises of compatibility in future, we've already spent the money. And this is something that also has been kept pretty quiet. I mean, I thought I'd done really good research when I bought this gimbal and I chose it over some of the other ones. And I hadn't even thought about the fact that they would release a product that wasn't compatible. Now I could send it back, but A, I'm generally lazy when it comes to that, and B, I've got this now, and that's probably what they're counting on, isn't it? You know, it's at home, I can't be bothered to send it back because it does everything else so well. And as I said in the little rundown at the beginning, there are so many reasons to buy this gimbal. There's just one massive reason not to. So unfortunately, this is the last bit of gratuitous cat footage I can get in here, and this is Roger, the largest of the three cats. And I wanted to try and film him relatively close up and see what would happen with the focus, being that he's quite long. And it's beautiful smooth footage, but like you can see just here, the camera is struggling there to pick up what I would want it to pick up. And the manual focus wheel would probably really help with that. Overall, it's just going to mean a bit more thought and care and, you know, reshooting certain bits at certain times. But I couldn't have done this handheld, so in that sense the gimbal is absolutely paying off. One other point I'd pick up from here, I guess, is that in all honesty the Canon is probably the better camera to put on the gimbal for a couple of reasons. One is that focusing issue, and two is the flip out screen. At the moment I would probably want to put a monitor somewhere else, or even on top of the Sony, so that I could see a bit better what I was doing, because obviously the various arms on the gimbal do cover the screen, whereas with the Canon I might be able to put it in a place where I can see it and the focus would be better. I'm just a bit in love with the Sony at the moment because it's brand new, but I'll probably make another video when I have the Canon on there as well. Thanks for watching.